Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our podcast. This week on the Deb Talks, we have the great fortune of having Narayani here with us. And I'm so grateful to you, Narayani, for making time out of your very busy schedule to join us and talk to our listeners a little bit about, obviously, what we talk about on the show is how spirituality is part of our normal basic life. And Narayani supports intuitive and empathic women on the spiritual path to work with their energy in order to turn their sensitivity into their superpowers. I love that. So that they can heal their past and maybe heal their story and get fully present and manifest a future rooted in love. I really like that about what she wrote in her bio. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what your story is, how to discover your blocks, embodying your future, manifestations without bypassing. I'm very interested to hear about that. And then weaving timelines, spiritual awakening, and emotional healing. We're also going to maybe touch on healing the past, manifesting the future. So I'm really interested because I myself love the story. Like I can talk to a complete stranger and we can exchange our stories and we can really, there's so much, I always find that when I hear somebody else's story, I can see how much part of it is of my own story. So it's like how we all, woven in and interconnected. But without further ado, I'm going to ask Narayani here to just introduce herself to us briefly. And then maybe, let's go through these little points as much as we can. We don't have so much time today because, like we said, she's pretty busy. But thank you so much, Narayani, for joining us today. Introduce yourself to our listeners.
Thank you, Deb. It's great to be here with you. I want to slow it down a little because I know that feeling of rush, and thank you for your patience. I was in a long session today. So I'm Narayani Gaia. That is my spiritual name. Narayani was given to me by Swami Satchidananda. I didn't pick it myself. Yes, it's Hindi, and I am a white Jewish girl from New York in this body. So if people are wondering, Narayani is one of the names of Lakshmi. It's her 18th name, and it means the prosperous one, which is always good to remember when I feel like I have money issues.
I love it.
And also means the embodiment of the higher self, because Narayan is the higher self. So those into yoga, it's the Narayana and Narayani are cohorts, also Vishnu and Lakshmi. So for those who know what that means, it's a little bit for you. My healing path is rooted not just in yoga and yogic Vedanta initiation. Shivite lineage is my lineage through Swami Satchidananda Maharaj and Shivananda, old school Himalayan lineage. But I've also received Shakti mantra, and I've also been practicing ways of indigenous culture from North America, from Lakota and Hopi grandmothers and grandfathers, and learned how to pray really from Native people. And I also practice African diaspora dance and music for about 25 years and had a partner from Nigeria in my 20s. And so I've learned a lot about kind of humanity from African people in a way, I guess is a simple way to put it, as well as the nature of the drum and the teachings of the rhythms of Mother Earth in our bodies through studying those ways. And I've also worked with a spiritual teacher since 2002 who is kind of outside the box, who had a few near-death experiences and helped me to understand my own spiritual awakening journey in a way that was universal. And not rooted in religion, but in authentic spiritual energetic awareness.
Probably. Yeah. And the experience of that. Yeah.
Right. And how to shift your perception from a place of unconditional love really into a place of unconditional love, which is the heart of all spiritual work, is what we're all really looking for, is the true nature of who we are as love and light. People who have not been initiated into these traditions are often the ones that are poo-pooing love and light because they obviously don't get it. They don't get what that means.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes.
Christianity at the essence teaches about the Christ heart, which is also the Christ Sophia heart, because what we know when we start to study different traditions is that there are these universal I also studied Kabbalah with rabbis through the Kabbalah Center in the 90s in New York, and being Jewish, that was important to me. But there are these kind of these mysteries of the universe that I see are woven into different races, cultures, and traditions that, when met with reverence and respect, will reveal magic. So, I don't even know why I said that. That wasn't very kind. So I'll just take whatever that karma is for saying that. But it's true, because there's a lot of assumptions about spirituality that if you're not practicing, you can't get mentally, right? But that communion and that union that comes from, as you know, Deb, spiritual practice is really something. It's not that it's beyond the mind, because it works with the mind, but it doesn't exist only in the mind.
Yeah.
Right. And so I invite people always to continue to follow their curiosity with spiritual work and healing work, whether that means, I just want to go get Reiki, or I just really feel like I need yoga, or I want meditation, to keep following those impulses.
Yeah.
Whether it's working with you or me or somebody we will never meet, anybody that because the universe loves you and wants you to discover yourself and who you really are.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what my spiritual work is all about.
Wow, that's amazing. So one of the topics that we have on hand here to talk about a little bit today is our story. So what your story is, can you take us through a little bit how important that is as part of our spiritual life? Because it kind of takes us from our past into our present and also into our future.
Yeah. Well, the work that I do is really, sorry, I have other things on my computer that are like jumping up. Go away. Okay, I'm here. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So the work that I do is really all about that, because what I found when I left home when I was 20 and started bouncing around studying everything and anything about spirituality with other cultures, I might have shared this with you when we talked before, was that all these cultures kind of pointed me back to not just myself, but to my own family and my own ancestors. And so what I didn't realize then, which I now realize 30 years later, is that a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I didn't realize that. But to name a few, that one, it is in the embodiment of spiritual wisdom, living through difficult things in life and making the quote unquote right choices, meaning the right choices for your personal tests on the path that will help you to evolve and grow. And if you're lucky, awaken spiritually. That helps you to embody wisdom, right? So if we're not embodying wisdom, then we're not taking responsibility. It's not that we're not taking responsibility. If you're not embodying wisdom, then it's actually, there can be a lack of congruency. And I think maybe a lot of our listeners will relate with this, because what that congruency might look like is you read something, or you have a therapy session, or you have one ceremony experience, or you do one retreat, you lead these beautiful events. And then you go home and you tell your family and they're like, oh yeah, good for you. Okay, wait, did you do the dishes or did you wash the clothes? You know what I mean? Or like, that's all nice, but I don't feel all that love from you, And what happens is it takes time for the body to really come into congruency with these higher understandings, but it happens quicker if you're doing embodied work, aka yoga, movement, dance, ceremony, prayer. I teach an embodied meditation method that I'm writing my book on, where you really work with the thoughts in the body. But back in the day, it was like a flood of information filling my mind, but it wasn't yet played out through experience. So say, jump forward, say, I don't have children. So when people have children, they usually go like before my kid was born or after my kid was born. But I have experiences in my 40s and my early 50s and a few years ago in really holding space for midwifing my partner to the other side when he passed away, and also midwifing my dad to the other side. That I kind of tell the story like, well, before my dad died, or before Chief died, or after he died. So people are like, when my kid was born. So I can say that by the time my dad passed away, I had already spent 30 years in cultivating presence in myself, so that I authentically felt like I passed every test that I was given during that era, to be able to stay in the embodiment. I'm not saying I didn't have a cry or get mad at somebody, I'm human.
Yes.
But that the big spiritual tests of letting go, of meeting people where they are without judgment, being able to hold space for my dad, helped heal my karma in my family in ways beyond what I knew was possible. The relationship that developed with my brother, who we were always kind of in different kind of circles, all that dissolved, and the love really united us all and helped us gain this profound respect and connection for each other. And when my dad actually thanked me for supporting him and his wishes to pass, I didn't do it. I mean, it was him and God, but
you were just there.
It was like well, I wasn't just there. I was consciously there. I was grounding. I was practicing being in my heart. I was repeating back to him what he said. I was validating his desire to transition. I was able to stay in my body. I was able to take responsibility for whatever I was feeling. I was able to support the people in my family in a way that they never let me before. I was able to share my heart and my poetry at his wedding. I mean, things that when I was 25, I would have hidden from. I wouldn't have been able to stay in my body comfortably.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of real life thing that we all go through in different kinds of ways, that I think I can look back and go, oh, all the tools, all the sitting in meditation, all the yoga retreats, all of this gave me an opportunity to apply in a way where I feel like I helped give back to my dad in a way that I don't know how you could ever give back to your parents at anything, right? Because they give you life. So that's an example of something big that I went through in the last few years that happened as a result of practicing embodying wisdom in micro things like, okay, I shouldn't eat this food, or I need to stop drinking, or like, not that I haven't been a heavy drinker since like I was 20, but really cleaning up, going on a cleanse for a month, the discipline of cleaning out, of crying in the woods because I'm healing the story that I wasn't breastfed, and I'm, my digestion hasn't been good, and like letting go of any resentment against my mom because my soul realized that I chose it. And what my friend Maria Stark calls like soul excavating. You're like cleaning out your soul during life's micro things on the spiritual path that come up, so that you could be open, so that you can experience more love, more fulfillment in relationships to other people, so that you can actually start to change your future, like you're, alluding to, by healing your past in the now.
Yeah, that's exactly the
Right?
opportunity that we have. That's
That's
exactly. And then also within the storyline, we have the opportunity where we can discover our blocks. Like I was listening to what you were saying, whatever you needed to do, if you had to go to the woods, you would go out there, you'd cry, or you'd go on a retreat, or you go do something. So as part of our life story, whatever blocks or whatever, things that come up in our way, they're only there to help us on the spiritual awakening and for the emotional healing. So they're all like little signs to help us to like cleanse and to start to embody, our true selves. So it's all an opportunity to get to that place. And then when we talk about weaving the timelines, can you explain a little bit about what that means within this story and the storyline?
Well, yeah, sure. Absolutely. The truth is that it doesn't always feel like an opportunity.
Of course it doesn't. In the
Okay.
moment when it doesn't feel good.
So if we're not acknowledging that it doesn't feel like an opportunity, because I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm confused. I don't know what to, I know I need to leave my job, but I don't know how. Right.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I hired my first coach, I was working as I was running a massage school in 2015, 2014, 2013, 2014, 2014.
20 something.
20 something teen. 2014. I was running a massage school. I went in to get a side gig to teach a massage class, and she hired me to be director of the whole program, made me a really good financial offer. And I said yes. And I ended up very soon after it hating it, even though I had a steady financial setup there. And it was a test because I had my vision brewing for many, many years, at least 10, 15, 20 years at that point, of stepping into facilitating and teaching workshops, events, and writing and all these things. Really, really my whole life, since I was a teenager, I had that impulse, because I would just get all this information intuitively about people that people weren't saying, but that I could see underneath the layers of what we were saying. And I would get overwhelmed because I didn't know what to do with that, because nobody was asking me for advice. Right. Yeah. And I wasn't disciplined or focused because I wasn't really grounded. So as life unfolded and I started to practice these embodiment ways, I began to feel my way through these challenges and these challenging situations. And what would be revealed would be more light or more insight or more love. In the beginning of the path, that happens like, not necessarily by paying to go on big retreats or doing these exotic things, but literally people can light a candle on their altar, sit down and say a prayer to the universe. That's it. And bring your tissues and a glass of tea, and maybe an offering, maybe some flowers for your altar, a picture. If you don't have a guru, like to the universe, light a candle and put some water, and always good to put the elements on your altar. So you can have like earth, fire, water, air, crystal, a feather or some sage or some, incense, and, you can offer these things. And so you connect with your heart to the universe. And then when you come with any kind of prayer in the faith, in your suffering, with pure intention, then you will always heal. You will always receive blessings, right? Mm-hmm. But it's an acknowledgement of that difficulty within yourself and a willingness to sit with it, whether it's alone or maybe it's with a therapist or maybe it's on a retreat with you or with me. Yeah. It's being in the presence, either with a person, the same thing, and putting that out there vulnerably, that will start to clear the emotional charge and make room for more light to come in. So you're asking me about the timeline.
Weaving the timelines, yeah.
Right. So what happens a lot in the beginning of the path is people just do that where they start to unlock things. I actually never really felt loved I don't remember feeling really held by my mom, for example, or by my dad, or things that you realize that go, oh God, that doesn't feel good. Well, if you go and do drugs at that point or go out partying and say, screw it, you're not doing the work. Right? So we want to get a journal, go grab your bestie, can we just go talk and go on a hike today and sit by the river, whatever. Set yourself up in a healthy environment. Because what happens is after you clear some of that, that's the beginning, right? That's the beginning of emotional healing. But then to start to be able to really create your future, you want to start to discover who you are without that story. So that's why when I train people, we work first more with the lower chakras. I don't go like color or mudra or all that. I could if somebody wanted me to, but we work more organically, like, connect with the earth, see your feeling body, awaken the heart, clear your energy. And then after those 4 things, then when your third eye opens and your lower chakra energy is more clear, it's actually easier to understand the difference between, let me put it this way. It's easier to quickly dismantle confusion and get clear guidance on your future. If you're not deconstructing the negative emotional patterning that's in your field, that's resulting in anger, sadness, resentment, fear. If you're not alchemizing that through either grief, through healing, through transmutation practices, through yoga meditation practices, if you're not transmuting that, then when it comes time to work with vision and higher chakras, which helps you work the timeline, I'd say, you're really like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th chakras, not 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th chakras really help you to really start to manifest in new levels and the other side of your story. If your lower chakras aren't clear, you're not going to be able to embody that wisdom and thus do that kind of almost, I don't like to misuse the word shamanic because shamans refer to like these Russian medicine people. It's not the word shaman isn't for every culture, although now it's adopted that way, but you're doing shamanic. Well, we know what the word shamanic means these days, right? Yeah. You're doing shamanic work, meaning you are working, you start to transcend time and space because you're not limited by those
and the lower vibrations as well.
So, and those exactly. So I didn't want to say lower vibrations because that could be kind of, I don't want to mean lower is worse and higher is better because they're all important. Because denser vibration can be a beautiful sexual experience or a birthing of a child, and that there's a lower, slower process, right? Yeah. So it might be denser or lower than the speed of light. So I don't want to I want to be clear because when we say these things, people don't always really understand what they mean. So we want, and even I might not understand what it means until I talk it out or hear you talk it out. So we want to name this process. But the idea is that in the beginning, you're going to be working on dismantling these charges. But as you keep going, you have more and more space in your body and your field for your own nature to shine and more light to shine from within. And then if you train, you could start to telepath with your angels as well as your future self, your higher self, your ancestors, your gurus. And it is in applying the wisdom that you get, and it is in finding the right questions to get that wisdom that will help you really hop off that timeline based on your birth pattern or your ancestral stories. And it's almost like I see it like a river that branches off. Well, I'm just going to branch off this way. Yeah. And start to walk a new walk that may be very surprising for people who have known you your whole life. Yeah. And give you experiences that your ancestors or your parents never even perceived as possible. even
Yeah.
still.
So then I guess that can give a nice little segue into healing the past and then manifesting the future.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. So with the stuff that you do with especially with women, you work a lot with women and help them with their intuitive and empathic intuitions. What's the process for that? Because a lot of us, we sometimes we see, like, we think of someone and the phone rings and that's the person that's on the phone, but or sometimes we get a gut feeling but we don't follow it because we listen to our mind. Like, how can you help us as females to trust more our intuitive side?
You have to clear. I mean, it's pretty much same thing. I mean, we need to, we get to work through the negative emotional patterns, but make sure that you're replacing them.
Okay, with the good stuff, with the new,
right.
Something that you desire, something that you want.
Yeah. So like,
life.
Think of it like detoxification, like even Ayurveda, there's is it Chyavanprash? Like Chyavanprash. It's like, do you know Chyavanprash?
No.
It's like, okay, it's like there's words. Come on, words, explain this. Okay, I can do this. After you cleanse your body, you want to also build your body. You want to build,
okay.
right? So even if you're integrating Western medicine, they used to say, like, don't take probiotics with antibiotics, right?
Okay.
So but from a holistic point of view, you can both detox and nourish at the same time, like by eating healthy foods, and you don't even have to think about it. You're just filling yourself with healthy food. But what happens is, if you like quit coffee, cut out carbs, cut out like processed foods and start eating healthy foods for the first time in your life, you might have a detox reaction. We try to avoid those. Like, so I usually say, like, do elimination slowly. Don't just go on a raw juice fast out of like your party lifestyle. Like, you might get sick. So we try to eliminate that. But it happens, right? You might have a detox headache and your body is like, whoa. So because you're like quickly going through even when you're sick, your body is cleansing.
Yes.
You're getting a cleansing. So maybe when you're sick, you have like soup and broths and light food. You're not even hungry, but you just drink your tea with ginger and lemon, and somebody brings you soup, and maybe you crave noodle or whatever. You hopefully don't eat too many noodles when you're sick, but you eat cleansing, healthy diet. Then you want to make sure, if you always eat cleansing, healthy diet, meaning you live on soup and tea, you're not going to be getting all the nutrients you need to build up your health. So same thing, to support detoxification spiritually, you can do your spiritual practice, but if you do too much spiritual practice, you're not going to be building or grounding, right? So that's when people do a lot of spiritual practice. I have a woman I'm starting to work with now who came to me recently. She's been doing so much spiritual practice. She's realizing she's divine. She's living in light. She's feeling all the sensations, but grounding and keeping a job right now, she's not really ready because she's in cultivation and moving and cleansing, getting rid of. So there's a sequence to start to fill your energy. So the first part, doing the emotional cleansing, decolonizing your mind, letting the light of awareness fill, keeping your heart open, staying grounded. These things prepare you to naturally be intuitive. So that way, it's not like you're putting on affirmations on top of you. As you know, in the beginning of the spiritual path, as your heart awakens and you're decolonizing yourself from the lies that you're not enough, that you're not worthy, that you can't do it, that you have to fight in order to be happy, all these old things, as those thoughts start to dismantle from your field through emotional healing and spiritual, practices, the awakening of the heart will guide the mind to start to think from love. especially when you're doing that work of that connection. So when I work with people, we work with the emotional, we work with the heart, and then we work with the third eye and the vision. So as then you work with the third eye from a clear place, the answer is kind of another way of saying what I answered before.
What you just before, yes,
Your
yes.
intuition is going to be clear, but not with reading one book, not with, meditating on the meme you saw this morning for one day. The truth is that the embodiment of wisdom is what we go through.
Is in you. And it's in you. It's basically everything is already within us, but we just have to get rid of the stuff that we told ourselves, all the stories and all the conditioning, and then as you get rid of that.
But it's in you, yes, and it's not in you in your physical body necessarily.
Mental body.
Spiritual body. Soul body. It's in the consciousness field. Right.
That we are collectively sharing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you tune into it, you could be aware of it, but it doesn't mean it's in your body. But it is in the emotional, it is in the I don't know if this is coming up a lot today, but it comes up in most of my conversations, but the dismantling of the negative emotional impacts, trauma, abuse, ancestral belief systems, for women, it's only 100 years ago, women could vote in the West, and let alone, I'm talking about America because I'm American, but let alone what's still happening around the world with women that we're all connected with, and all of our past lives of being enslaved, of being inferior, of not being honored and respected. So in this time, as women awaken and we heal ourselves, we could step into leadership in a way that is an example for everyone.
Got it.
Right? By when you heal your negative emotional energy and you have wisdom and you let that inner light, that soul consciousness that's connected to everyone, because who we are is not our name, it's not our story alone, it's not our beliefs alone, but yet we're here to live unique human stories to support healing of our unique ancestral lines, which we signed up for as souls, as well as our past lives. So you're with me, right? You follow me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then as we continue to allow, like you were saying, the shedding of these layers.
Yeah.
With the right inquiry and guidance, that intuitive light can absolutely reveal universal wisdom. But then to take that wisdom and practice embodying that through decisions that you're making in your life, usually with support,
Yes.
then you're really changing the world.
Yeah.
And because women are powers in our body, that it's that much more important for women to learn for how I see it. It's my belief that it's important for women to alchemize our negative emotional energy so we can authentically stand in loving leadership, because in that way people feel safe around us. You want to change people. You want to change the world. If people don't feel safe around you because you're acting from a trauma response, then they're not going to follow you. And you're not going to be able to support them in whatever it is that you're capable of. Right?
Yeah.
So just another reason.
Yeah. Because ultimately that's what we do with once we discovered all these things and we embody that, then we can help others to do the same and to help others to heal as others have helped us, so it's all like we're all part of the system.
Exactly. And that may be for many women, raising your children and being able to move through your own anger so your children trust you and open up to you in teenage years.
Yes.
Instead of feeling like you're the enemy, because you're always schooling them and you're not meeting them where they are because you're so frustrated. Well, if you're not doing your inner work, your kids, they can look at you and know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So
because energy never lies.
Energy never lies. Exactly.
Energy never lies. Yeah.
Integrity piece.
Exactly. Great. All right. Well, in just wrapping up here, because I know we're running short of time here. I just wanted to ask you if there's any kind of little advice that you can give somebody if they are finding themselves struggling. You know, what could be just 2 or 3 things that they could do today in their life that could start to see a change for them, so that they can access this, what we just talked about.
Yeah. Breathe.
Very important to breathe.
Like practice very deep breathing.
Yeah. And slow your breath down so that you can become present.
Practice filling your lungs with as much, even if it seems extreme and crazy, fill them and breathe out. Start breath control practices. When you're sick, do breath control. When you're making love, do breath control. When you're doing meditation, do breath control. Okay. But when you're getting a massage, don't do breath control, just receive.
Got it.
Okay. So breath control, and then breath awareness. So if you're walking, if you're running, if you're quiet, so make space for the mind and the body to catch up with each other by breathing. Okay. Then if you don't already ground, practice grounding. Don't ground in the plane, don't ground in the car.
Yes.
But when you're sitting or standing, even in line to buy rice, sink your energy into Mother Earth, practice grounding. If you already feel grounded because you grew up in a culture with people around you that are those archetypes, great. Then practice feeling. Feel what you feel, witness what you feel. How do I feel when I walk into this space? How do I feel when I talk to this person? Listen to your body.
Yeah.
So those are
That's
the
great.
first 3 ways that I work with people. And if that's interesting, then we could start to go into more dimensions of awareness.
That's definitely very helpful, because I believe, obviously, when I started on my journey towards looking for answers in my own life, the breath was actually one of the first things I did. And I understand firsthand how powerful it is and how it can help you with your transformation. It helps
you control the mind. It helps you learn how to take handle of the mind. Yeah,
exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I was going to say that I wasn't even aware that I was breathing.
Right.
I was just like, okay, so I wasn't even aware that I was breathing. And when I started with breathing techniques, it changed my life. It actually put my life on a whole different trajectory.
Well, you don't need to be aware of your breath to live, because it's
no, you don't. It's unconscious.
But to wake up spiritually, what it helps with is it starts to bridge the gap between the inner functionings,
the
breath,
outer world,
the muscles in your belly, the way your lungs work. They're always contracting and expanding. So it starts to bring your awareness in, and it's in a internalization that supports us to stop waiting for our external senses to define how we live our lives, where we can start to live from that intuitive way that supports spiritual awakening.
Yeah. Wonderful. Narayani, I want to thank you so much today for taking the time out of your so busy schedule talking to us. I am going to put all the information for Narayani's upcoming book that she's launching and some other stuff that she's doing. I'll put it at the bottom of the podcast. You can reach out to her if you need some help with embodying or anything like that. Just thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Deb. It was a pleasure.
Bye.